The Irrational Confidence Podcast.
Rivalry week. This is going to be a two-part episode. There are just too many good games out there for us to talk about. We can't just fit everything into one episode. We got to have two. I'm joined by my co-host, the man who wore out the two-part episode of Titanic for the Celine Dion special. Fresh, how you doing, buddy?
Haps doing great. You know, it's as much as we love college football, it's kind of sad that we are in the final regular week of the regular season. You know, right? There's a lot on the line. We still have conference championship week next week, but it kind of feels like where did the season go? You know, before we were just preparing for week 0, and now it's Thanksgiving's on the horizon, games on Thursday, games on Friday, games on Saturday, and wrapping up regular seasons, transfer portal, coaches, discussion, deadlines, if you will, in play, and jockeying for college playoff bids. It's just, we want the games to mean something, but then we're also sad to see the season come to an end. So it's kind of bittersweet, but here we go.
Yeah, it's crazy to think like we're at this point in the season and there's still so much to be decided. So many teams that are still kind of out there jockeying for position, and also teams that are trying, like, just on the outside looking in. And who winds up getting in that 8 through 12 spot there? You know, we're recording this prior to the College Football Playoff Committee releasing another set of rankings. So we don't have the updated rankings. We'll have that for our Tuesday episode, record for the second half of this. But right now, man, there's a couple of teams that I'm really wondering whether or not they're going to get in. But I think they'll probably save for a later conversation at this point.
Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns. Really, what is committee value, but also, this week is going to actually decide a lot of people's fates and who's playing for a conference title. The ranking this week is going to, I think, be moot, because if Texas wins, they're going to put Texas in. If they beat A&M, they're putting them. Then you have A&M, if they're not playing for a conference championship, and then they maybe jack somebody else up. If BYU loses to Texas Tech, and if they even play for a conference championship, and they get left out, the chaos and the way that it gets lined up, it's kind of, this week is going to be weird in how they rank them, because I really don't think it's going to matter. Because it's not going to be like, oh, they lost, we're going to drop the spot. And everyone's harping over another team, Miami, but Miami is not even going to play for the ACC title. So they're going to be begging for a last-minute spot. So they would have to be ranked in maybe the top 8, in my opinion, top 9, to even be getting an at-large bid. And they're not even able close. So it's going to be interesting, but I don't think the committee's always been full of doubt and mystery. So does this week really even matter? I'm not, from their perspective, who knows?
Yeah, this weekend matters in your rivalries. This week matters for bragging rights. We'll see at the end of the week where everything is and how it all works out. Fresh, let's get into the games here. Let's go into the American. This is going to be on Thanksgiving night after turkey is done. I don't even know what the NFL games are on Thanksgiving in the evening. I know.
This will run up against the Bengals and Ravens. This will run up against.
Oh, then no one cares. I'll flip over to watch Navy Memphis instead of Bengals Ravens. I'd rather watch that.
As a Browns fan, probably that makes there's a
right,
lot of pain.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't want to hate watch. Might as well watch a good game of Navy and Memphis.
I watched the '95 Browns that the Dirty Ratbirds stole from us. All right, Fresh, let's go get into this, though. Navy still got a chance to make the college football playoff. They're 8-2 on the year, 6-1 in the American. They're going to Memphis. Memphis is 8-3, 4-3 in the American. It's weird that Memphis is, all 3 losses are in-conference losses. Memphis is a 5.5-point favorite in this game. I don't know really where to go with this one here as well, because Memphis has had a great year. It's kind of ho-hum for them because they've been such a pretty solid group of 5 team. Brendan Lewis has had an amazing year for them. And then you can't talk about Navy without talking about Blake Horvath.
Yeah, you look at Memphis, there's a lot of expectations. We all kept waiting for it. And they just, in games where they haven't been able to finish out those losses. They're a good football team. They haven't gotten blown out, but they just haven't been able to finish out the games that they have to win. It kind of just, where's the mindset of the football team? Can the team, are they last year's squad? Are they, they even last year, they were kind of like they have so much talent and they just can't get the job done. Man, they have so much talent, they just can't get the job done. And they beat Arkansas, but they beat Arkansas because their running back fumbled and they were trying to set up for a field goal. It was, they got lucky, and that kind of, that boosted them. They had a big win. But when it came to conference play, they've just been a yeah, but mentality. This game right here gives them a chance to sort of ruin Navy's season for the most part and redeem themselves a little bit. Like, all right, you know what? We finished on a high note. We got a big win. It gives them a bit off of it. Maybe Scott Satterfield, Silverfield does not want to leave and keep staying with Memphis and building. Because right now his name's out there to see actually go get one of those mid-tier jobs after the fact that are open right now. So, and this is an interesting thing. I think the Tigers should come out. They have nothing else to lose. Like this is your season here. You're going to get a bowl game. Yeah, great. Congratulations. But you go in here and ruin Navy's year in conference. It'll be a nice little, feather in the cap and way to finish strong. I'm like, all right, look what we did. Look what we could have been. Navy on the other side, you have a chance of playing for the American title. You have a chance of winning the American Conference and potentially being the highest ranked group of 5 team and going to the college football playoff. First of all, let that sink in. Not only do you have a chance of beating Army and winning the Commander-in-Chief trophy, you have a chance of going to the college football playoff. This is something that, will you be able to compete if you're the 12th seed whether it's Texas Tech or it's Georgia or whoever that 5 seed is going to be? It's going to be pretty lofty. But the fact that you have gotten there, it's still in front of you right now. We're coming into Thanksgiving. That is a huge feat. That is something that every group of 5 program wants to imagine, that my game I'm playing this week and then potentially the week after and the first weekend of December on championship weekend matters. We all know Army Navy is a big deal, but having that also layering on top of you is pretty cool. Look at last year. Army hosted the American Conference Championship and they beat Tulane. They won the conference. It can happen. Now, Boise State was still the highest ranked, so that other point, the playoff didn't matter. But the expectation, the possibility of winning conference championship is still there. So go out there and get it done. Blake Horvath, his skills running the ball, and then obviously the developing the passing game with Navy has shown to be very beneficial the past year and a half, 2 years. Just be who you are. Go out there and take care of business, one drive at a time. It's not what we saw 10, 15, 20 years ago where it is 2 wingbacks, a fullback. You are legit running a triple option. There is a lot more of a little more spread element that's been added to it to give your offense a little more flexibility, compete at a greater scale. Go out there, play aggressive, play your style. Do not let Memphis get any momentum. If you do, you have a chance to go play Tulane or North Texas for an American Conference Championship. Anyone, I don't care who you are, Division III, Division II, 1AA, FCS or FBS or JUCO, if you have a chance to play for a championship of any type at the end of the season, it's something worth fighting for. So go out here, handle your business, be professional in all tense of the sense, be disciplined and attack Memphis. Right now, you've already seen Memphis has been beaten up and they have failed to finish multiple games beforehand. If you let them hang around, you're going to pay the price. You have to be aggressive and go after them. Brandon Lewis is a good quarterback. Got to be very, very aware of that. But if you tackle and you get off the field and don't get stupid penalties and don't give up any big plays, you're going to be okay. But do your job. You have tons of talent. You have great opportunities. Don't just think, hey, we got to play an Army and that's our season. Your season means a lot more now. Take advantage of that opportunity. Go out there, keep your season alive. Go out, keep your chances alive of winning conference championship. I think they have the talent. I'm actually going to take Navy. I think they're disciplined, they're focused. The Navy Midshipmen are going to punch their tickets to the American Conference Championship game. They're going to take out Memphis.
I've always been impressed with Navy. I've been impressed with what they've been able to do, it always seems like they give teams that don't accurately prepare for them, it seems like they give them fits. And I really am curious on how well Memphis is going into this week to prepare for the Navy game there as well. The interesting thing that I'm intrigued with that everyone wants to talk about Brendan Lewis throwing the ball for Memphis, but the rushing attack for the Memphis Tigers has been absolutely phenomenal. They have 4 guys with 7 or more rushing touchdowns at this time. Sutton Smith, Brendan Lewis, Greg DeRosers Jr., and Frank Peasant have all found the end zone 7 or more times this season. That rushing attack has accounted for over 2,000 yards on the ground there as well. Lewis is great, takes a lot of sacks. I don't love his 25 sacks, looking at a little more than 2 sacks a game as well. So I think Navy in this game is going to pin their ears back and kind of just go after him and see if they can find a tell to see if Memphis is going to run the football or not. I don't necessarily know how I feel about this one because I went back and forth. Memphis being at home, I really like that. It's games at night. This could be a big deal for Memphis. This could be a chance to get to, I don't know, something more than like the Birmingham Bowl or the Bahamas Bowl. Maybe they wind up going to the, I don't know, Oil Change Bowl in Texas somewhere. I don't know which ones they are anymore because they just change all the names for them. But this could be something bigger for Memphis. And I always still will say this. I think we're a year or two away from another round of realignment. And one of the teams that we've talked about over the time of this podcast that is a team that is looking to get into a Power Four conference is the Memphis Tigers. Well, how are you going to do that? You got to be successful on the field. You've got to have a winning tradition. You have to have money behind your program. Memphis does have that. I don't know if they have that level of money, but they have good money behind that program. And you have to have people who watch your product there. You have one, you're playing well, entertaining football. You have two, you have the money and the governor of Tennessee behind your football program. Now you have to make sure you put yourself out there. How do you do that? By beating teams like Navy in this situation. Horvath, though, for Navy is just absolutely phenomenal. I've enjoyed watching that kid during his entire college career there. And one of the things that I can't wait to see is I can't wait to see him play Army in a couple weeks and see what he's going to do in that game as well. It's kind of weird that this is his last year. He's a senior. He's going off doing his tour of duty over there. So you know what? Just for Blake Horvath and for his service to our country, I'll go with the Navy midshipmen in this game. And also because it gives me a reason to sing Anchors Away. So,
I mean, if Memphis pulls this off, that really puts a lot of pressure. Like the next, it also gives, if Memphis pulls it off, North Texas gives them a great opportunity. So North Texas are big Memphis fans. And they are they're a talented football team. And right now, if the Memphis Tigers can pull it off, that gives them a chance to really go into that game. And there's actually odds right now that outside of James Madison, North Texas had like the second best. I saw it pop up on a graphic yesterday, but I thought it was crazy at first. You're kind of like, well, wait, no. If they can get in that game, that offense is talented. They might be able to beat Tulane, and who knows? This game there's a lot in the balance and how that group of five team is going to be determined.
All right, Fresh. Let's go to the first game on Friday there. We're going over to Stark Vegas for the Egg Bowl. Ole Miss versus Mississippi State. Mississippi State started off the year 4-0 and has gone 1-6 the rest of the way. They're trying to be bowl eligible for the first time in a long time, it feels like. Ole Miss is dealing with all these sorts of distractions, and I don't know why Lane Kiffin isn't just kind of taking the distractions away. Make a decision. You know, the old saying, poop or get off the pot here, Lane Kiffin. Because are you going to LSU? You going to Florida? You going to stick around at Ole Miss? Which one are you going to do? You're going to go to the NFL. Pick one. Pick a door. Let the rest of the dominoes fall. And just, you don't have to sign the contract. You let it go. But again, I think what he's doing to Ole Miss is kind of dirty. I don't know. Mississippi State might have something for him.
At this point, it's a distraction because it is now, this is the game. Like the words come out. The decision will be made after the Egg Bowl. Well, if they win, this is what the scenario is. If they win, is Lane going to walk up to the microphone on the sideline report and be like, I'm staying? Or is it going to come up in the post-game press conference like, well, the game is over. What's your decision? So everyone's going to be waiting on in a bated breath for him to make that call. Is he going to call the game differently? Is he going to be super aggressive and be like, hey, it's my last show. I'm leaving immediately. I'm just going to go out there. We're just going to chuck the ball. We're going to go big time. If he decides to leave, do they let him coach in the playoff? Because if they're in, they're like, well, screw it. Kick rocks. Desmond Howard brought it up on College Game Day. I thought it was a great, connection point. Obviously, it was about 30 years ago, but it was the Fab Five, where at the time Bo Schembechler was the AD at Michigan, and that basketball team there got word that their head coach at the time was looking to take a job somewhere else. Bo's like, you know what? I want a Michigan man leading Michigan. Kick rocks. Peace out. Let the door hit you on the way out. I'm letting Steve Fisher, your assistant coach, run the team. They went on and won a national championship. You have to make a call here. Now, it's not the players are also like, well, what if we win, but the committee makes a decision because we are technically not the same football team with Lane Kiffin is gone. So now
Jordan Travis,
our product is now different because our coach, who's going to be calling plays, is not him. It's not going to be as aggressive as him. It's not going to think like him. This changes the entire dynamic. If Pete Golding is named the interim head coach, he's not going to call the game and be the same as Lane Kiffin. But if Lane stays, everyone already knows he made the decision to go to Florida or go to LSU. It's just going to hang over. And then you also have the thing of like, well, he's been rumored of what, $90+ million plus 25 mil from LSU is what the rumored offer is outstanding right now. That's a lot of money. It's like, is he really, is he personally invested in beating Mississippi State, knowing that he's already going to leave? The players on the game on the field is not going to matter. It's just where's his mind at. If I was him, and this is my personal thing, you have now become who you are because of Ole Miss. You haven't won anything, but you've been the most successful Ole Miss football coach and had the most successful Ole Miss football season since Eli Manning. And they still didn't play for a title. They had no chance to win national championship. They went and played for Cotton Bowl. You have a chance of having a statue built out of Vaught Hemingway Stadium right now. And you have being a legend in Oxford, you stay forever. If you go to LSU, there's not going to be a statue of you. If you go to Florida, there's not going to be a statue of you. You know those statues they have in Gainesville? The Heisman Trophy winners. Urban Meyer's not a statue there. There's like Ed Orgeron won national championship at LSU. He's from Louisiana. You're not getting a statue. So Ole Miss has a chance to. The money is one thing, but if you stay at Ole Miss, you have a chance of being a legend forever. If you leave, wherever you go, you are going to be the most hated person in Oxford forever. So right. When you talk about leaving a legacy, you have a chance of really staining everything you've worked for, and you have nothing. You haven't won anything yet to even give you the legacy, and you're banking on something else. You're going to get the access. You've got the transfer portal. Ole Miss gave you everybody you wanted. You found a way to lose to Florida last year and fumble it away. It's an ego thing. It's, I feel bad for Ole Miss fans. I feel bad for them all because everything you had, he was yours. Ole Miss was yours. It was your own thing. It's just unique to Grove and all that fun stuff. And Lane fit it perfectly. And now he's trembling through the mud because he wants something. It's messy. It's angry. And it's going to overshadow a great game that we're going to have here on Friday afternoon. If you're betting, take the over. There's not going to be a lick of defense played in this ball game. Jeff Lebby and Mississippi State, they're going to go for everything because they have a chance to go to a bowl game, which they haven't been to in a long time, and destroy Ole Miss this season. You knock your rival out, eliminate them from playoff contention, and basically send off Lane. Oh, it's fantastic. I expect Mississippi State to come out hostile and get after it. It's going to be a fun one. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take Mississippi State because I don't know where the mindset of this Ole Miss football team is. I'm going to take Mississippi State, and I'm going to take the over. It's going to be a fun one to start off on Friday.
Yeah. The question we got to ask is Lane Kiffin ready to be a hero or a villain? And that's going to, if you choose whether or not he wants to be a hero or a villain, is going to determine whether or not he's going to stay at Ole Miss. Because in my mind, there's only one right answer in this question. The right answer in this question is to stay at Ole Miss. That's what it is. Take the money, take the contract extension. You are then going to be the guy who spurned what is perceived as better looking jobs. You spurned Florida. You told LSU that you were interested in them and that you were with the girl that made your career, Ole Miss. And all of a sudden, you guys are the power couple right now in that part of the SEC. If you're ready to be a villain, like you're a bad guy. Like you got to be ready to embrace being the bad guy. Because if you tell Ole Miss at the end of this, after the Egg Bowl, say, hey, I'm going to take the Florida job and I'm going to take it for $15 million a year, $13 million a year, whatever the number is. Or then you go, I'm going down to Baton Rouge for whatever million a year. The problem is that it's not just Ole Miss fans that are going to hate you. It's everyone else. Ole Miss fans are going to hate you. And you're probably cool with that. But it's the LeBron James effect. It's the LeBron James effect with going down to Miami and him going on national TV. If he would have just quietly done it and just said, hey, put a press release, I'm going to Miami, I'm going to sign with Miami Heat, he probably is going to catch flack from Cavs fans, but the rest of the NBA isn't going to hate him. But when you go on national TV and say, I'm taking my talents to South Beach, and I'm going to win X amount of championships, all of a sudden, this hate comes from New York fans. This hate comes from Laker fans. It comes from everywhere else. Lane Kiffin's got to be ready to experience that type of hate if he's going to do this, because LSU fans are going to say, we're a better job than Florida, so you probably should hate. We're going to hate you for that. If he takes LSU job, Florida fans are going to hate him. And then everybody, Alabama, Georgia fans, Tennessee fans, they already all hate him, so they're going to hate him even more. If he stays at Ole Miss, though, he becomes beloved by their program, and people will put him on a pedestal, and he will have job security for a very, very long time.
Look, you brought up Tennessee. He was at Tennessee. That was perceived a much more historic and better job. It was never going to be better than Phil Fulmer. Never. Or General Nealon. He was going to be third at best all time in Tennessee football history. And they ran him out because it was a complete bombshell. USC, he was never going to be better than Rich McKay or Pete Carroll. And he bombed. He got tarmac. At Ole Miss, you will have a chance you are currently having the best season right now, a chance to be the greatest football coach in Ole Miss football history. You go to Florida and LSU, you won't be there. I don't care how many you're not going to win multiple national championships there. You are setting yourself up for failure.
Disaster.
And you're going to get paid. And it's like, I'll get paid at Ole Miss. You're going to get paid either way. Ole Miss will pay you. Jimmy Sexton will find a way to get the money that way. Do it and build your own brand. Be yourself. In the day and age, we're seeing people at Indiana. Kurt Signetti went to Indiana. He's getting paid and you have a chance to win there. Build your own brand. Do it your own air. People embrace you and they love you. They might be a little pissed because you put them through this whole, drama and facade. But if you say I'm staying, it's like the Wolf of Wall Street thing. It's like, I ain't bleeping going anywhere. That right there is going to be, if the players will get fired up, you can motivate them for a playoff run. NIL transfer, guys are like, he is here. And then that will build Ole Miss to a whole new level. It's going to be interesting to see what happens because it's a new tick on Black Friday. How that game plays out and where the energy is going to be really interesting to watch.
Yeah. And I'm going with my pick is going to go on whether or not he in his head has decided to be a hero or a villain. If he's going to be a hero, Ole Miss wins and covers and blows out the Bulldogs in Stark Vegas. If he decides to be the bad guy and the villain, because your players will sense that. Your players will sense that this guy, his heart, his head, he's not here. He's not here with us in this team ready to go to battle in our rivalry game. They're going to quit on him. So
again, they don't have a defense.
They don't. Then I'd go Mississippi State because they're going to want this game. So again, is Lane Kiffin going to be a hero or a villain? We'll find out on Friday, I guess.
It'll be fun.
All right, Fresh. Let's go to the big one at 3:30. Good old-fashioned hate. Georgia at Georgia Tech in the Benz. Georgia 10-1. Georgia Tech 9-2, getting boat raced by Pitt. Man, it was not as close as even that score looked. I know Georgia Tech came back and they played hard, but man, I said last week that the ACC was holding on, singing Celine Dion. Well, guess what? Just like the Titanic, it sank, and just like Jack, Georgia Tech's playoff hopes are pretty much dead and frozen now at the bottom of the Atlantic. So
yeah, there are no playoff hopes for Georgia Tech.
Are they more dangerous? They may be more dangerous.
They have nothing to lose. I think you've seen in the past 3 weeks, they've been looking ahead of this game. They've been looking ahead of this game since they lost in 8 overtimes last year. They were not focused for NC State and got run out of Raleigh. They were down 11 to Boston College and had to storm back and win that ball game. And they definitely were not prepared and they were down 28-0 in the blink of an eye. Yeah, they fought back a little bit, but that team was done. The defense has been horrible all season, and the whole, Heisman campaign, I think, got to them, and they just did not show up right off the bat. They have nothing to lose. There's no way they can really, I don't think, they'll need a miracle. They need SMU and Virginia, and they need Pitt all to lose next week to even have a sniff at the ACC championship game. So they're in trouble. From there, they have to actually win that game to get an at-large to get the ACC bid, which is going to be tough. They have nothing to lose. They're going to come in, be extremely dangerous. They're going to air it all out. They're going to try to exercise as many demons. They're going to pull anything out of there. Buster Faulkner already showed his offense. That offense for Georgia Tech is ridiculously lethal if Haynes King is making plays and making throws on time. The one thing I did notice is that if you contain him in the pocket, him actually having a throw versus Pitt, he looked a little lost. Him not being as mobile and being a power runner and using his legs a lot, it kind of limited him. He looked a little frozen. Yeah, also, it kind of spun it away where they were not playing from ahead or equal. They had to storm back at 28 points. That's 28 points still a lot. When you get down a hole like that, it's very difficult to come back. I know that the Cowboys came back on the Eagles down 21-0, but down 28-0 is a completely different story. I got a feeling Tech's going to come out guns a-blazing in full redemption and demon exercising mode. Their offense can score, but their defense is absolutely horrendous. If Georgia could just come in and be focused, they don't need, last year they had to win that game to keep their playoff hopes, give them give them a shot. Because if they had lost the SEC championship game and they had lost to Tech, they were probably out. They had to actually keep playing that ball game and they had to fight way through. Georgia, I know Kirby wants to win every game he plays. This game, you have a chance to also play for the SEC championship week after. You're kind of most likely already even secured that large bid at worth. Are they going to come in with the same focus? Are they going to come in and say, hey, what happened last year will never happen again? We're going to get after it right off the bat. We run the state. There's a lot of psyche and mentality coming into this game. If Georgia's defense can show up early and put Haynes King and the entire offense in a blender and kind of limit them, it'll be Georgia's day because that offense will move up and down the field in that Tech defense. If that Georgia defense does not come in and set the tone and allow Haynes King to stay around, that's when craziness and chaos in a rivalry game, and a hated rivalry game, comes into play. Last 2 years, Brent Key and Tech have given Georgia fits. This is a chance. If Kirby wants to really just put a foot down and end it, your defense has to show up like they have versus Texas and get after it early and set the tone. The past few weeks, they've played really well, but that is going to be the biggest deciding factor. And also from Georgia's standpoint, you want to come out of this game healthy. Because if you're playing the SEC championship game, you have a quick turnaround the week after. If not, you're still going to have a playoff team. You've got to make sure your team is ready to rock and roll and guns and ready and play whenever that game might happen. Survive this football game, but you want to come out and be the aggressor, set the tone. Do not let Georgia Tech hang around. Last year, Tech jumped after a 17-0 lead, and there was a lot of things that had to happen late in the fourth quarter for Georgia to come back and even tie it to get to overtime. You don't want to have a monumental marathon of a game. You want to get after it early, destroy Georgia Tech's hopes, do not give them a chance to end their season as early as possible and move on. The focus of this Georgia team is a lot different than last year's. This Tech team, though, is going to be, they're going to have they have nothing else to play for. This is it. I got a feeling this is going to be a 4-quarter game. Georgia win by a touchdown. I'm not going to say it's going to go to overtime, but Tech was going to pull out all the stops and give them as many fits as humanly possible. It'll be, Haynes King will be he'll leave it all on the field for Tech, but I think Dogs survive. Don't expect Georgia to cover, but I think Georgia wins.
Fresh, you know what the Panthers did this past weekend is they took that yellow jacket and used a fly swatter on it. Like Buzzy is sitting there squished to death half the time. I love how the game here, and I look back at last year's game between Georgia Tech and Georgia, and I said at the time of record, I think after the post game of that one, there's one of the greatest college football games I've ever watched. And
I was exhausted.
And again, I say that not for people always will point at USC versus Texas in the Rose Bowl back in the day, the 2002 Miami Ohio State game. And those games are phenomenal. If you wanted sheer entertainment and sitting on the edge of the seat, that's what Georgia Tech offered you last season. Because that happened, this game is not going to be close. Georgia Tech is reeling. You could see that it's not this, there is a gear where Georgia Tech can be competitive with almost any team in the country. And you saw it at certain times against the Pitt game, because I watched a good chunk of that second half against Pitt. That defense, when they wanted to, could have strangled the life out of it. And it was you do it for a handful of plays, and then all of a sudden, the defense go, okay. They relax and they say, oh, we're good. No, you're down 2 touchdowns right now. We need you to focus in here. And then they let up a big play. I think that that's one of the biggest problems. And this is the biggest problems with Georgia Tech of becoming a low middle tier program to, wow, you're actually starting to look good, taking the next step, because the next step for Georgia Tech is winning a big game outside of your conference. Winning a big-time matchup in season, whether it's Georgia, whether it's a non-con game at the beginning of the season, you got to win one of those. And I don't think they're ready to do it. I think Haynes King is way too beat up at this point there. The wide receivers, I did like what I saw of Isaiah Cannon. He played very well in that game, and he is a threat, especially as a sophomore. I hope he stays at Georgia Tech next year as well. But I'm going to tell you this. This game is over at halftime. Take Georgia and the points in the first half, and take Georgia to cover the 13.5 in this one. I think last year is too much of a wake-up call. And unless your team is named Alabama, Kirby has a tendency to go, okay, I saw what they did last year. Let's get after these guys. Let's just punch them in the mouth and take care of it. Because we're not even going to let it happen.
You talk about Pitt's defense. Their linebackers, they dominated the game. They shut down the running game. They kept Haynes, they kept Haynes King contained. And that ability to escape the pocket and run is what he is so dangerous for, because that opens up the backyard, the junkyard touchdown throws. The coverage just breaks down. By keeping contained, by tackling the running game and shutting down the running game, from Haynes and all that stuff, the linebackers dictated the early tone on defense. If Georgia's linebackers, I don't know if C.J. Allen will play, him being dinged up last week, but if Georgia's linebackers could do the same thing, that will again you'll see flashbacks and you'll start seeing ghosts. But to get the blood in the first half, the defense is going to have to come out and set the tone. If they can, bloodbath, dogs roll. But if the defense lets Tech hang around, that's where it gets messy in the second half.
All right, Fresh, let's go to the other big matchup in the SEC. This is Texas A&M at Texas. Does this rivalry have like a nickname?
People in Texas might know. I don't know.
Someone let me know what this rivalry is called.
I mean, they legit hate each other. I would say
they do hate each other quite a bit.
The Texas Showdown, the Texas two-step. I don't even know, but there is the battle for the steer. We can call it whatever we want.
Okay, so
it's hatred.
According to the Google, it says it's called the Lone Star Showdown.
There you go. That actually makes sense. The Lone Star Showdown.
All right, Fresh. Right now, A&M is a 2.5-point home favorite. Fresh, I'm going to go out here and say this. I legitimately think that, and I'm starting to get this. I know I'm going to catch a ton of flack for this one. I think Texas A&M is extremely overrated as an undefeated team. And I look at it, I go, your wins, you need this Texas win to boost your resume a little bit there, because your wins are against Auburn, who at one point was losing to Mercer yesterday. I know they came back and won. Florida, fired a coach. Mississippi State, not bowl eligible. Arkansas, fired a coach. LSU, fired a coach. Missouri, fraudville. South Carolina, completely underrated or completely
Stanford, fired a coach.
Fired a coach. I mean, you're winning off a 1-point win over Notre Dame right now. You need this one big time. In my opinion. Texas A&M, I'm not saying you're a bad football team, because I think you have a great offensive line. And again, I'm going to put a lot of respect on Marcel Reed's name, because I think Marcel Reed's a phenomenal quarterback. I think this kid is playing some of the best football. He is playing what I wanted to see out of Lenore Sellers this season. But again, I just am sitting there going, okay, I want something a little bit more out of you. Arch Manning in Texas this season has not gone the way they've expected. At 8-3, to me, Fresh, they are out. They should need to be out of the college football playoff. They let Arkansas score 37 points on them. That Texas defense should have been way better than that right there. Like, that's a complete abomination that you let Arkansas, who is really struggling this season.
Funny you bring that up. We'll talk about Arkansas, but they have 6 one-score losses. But they could have been an 8-4, 9-3 football team. They just couldn't finish. But Texas giving up a lot of points. That defense,
they're 2-9. They're 2-9. I mean,
they couldn't finish, but they had a lot of one-score losses. I'm making excuses for them, but you've given up 25, or you give up 35 and 36 in back-to-back weeks, Texas. Your defense, whether talented teams or not you're playing, it's not what it should be.
And you're at home.
But we know the committee wants to put Texas in. So that's where it leads me. If Texas, you have to prove, number one, that you're undefeated and go play for an SEC title, which you have not. It's to this point so far done. Finally beat your rival, Texas, for the first time in forever, and give the committee no ballot or any excuse to put them in the playoff. You have all of this on the line. To prove yourself, to go out here, a team that has a defense that's been giving up points left and right, to end it. They've given up tons to Mississippi State. They have given up points to Vanderbilt. They have given up points to everybody. You have a chance to officially put the last nail in the coffin of Texas football in 2025. Can you do it? Can you beat Big Brother? Because there is an inferiority complex for A&M. Fan-wise, I don't care what the sport is. We saw A&M baseball playing for a college World Series national championship for LSU, and their coach left to go to college Texas. There is an inferiority complex from Aggies to Texas. You have a chance to finally get it done, be undefeated, go play for an SEC title, end Texas this season. Can you do it? That is all that matters. Last year, you were at home and your offense was trash. Your defense played their butts off, but you couldn't finish it with almost the exact same scenario on the line. You choked. Can you get it done? Can you dig through defensively and offensively and play a full 60 minutes or more to beat Texas under the lights in Austin? X's and O's, I don't care how you do it. I don't care if you run the ball 1,000 times. Can you actually beat Texas when it matters? That is all that matters. Mike Elko, can you beat Stark? This team for Texas is real. I don't care what they did. Yeah, they put up tons of points. Really cute. They beat Arkansas, blah, blah, blah. Arch will throw you the football. The offensive line is not very good, and that defense is not playing up to standard. It is right there for you. This is not last year's Texas team. This is this year's Texas team. Go out there and get the job done. In the end, though, I'll trust A&M, just like you said. This is actually my first pick, so I'm just going to throw it in there because I don't want to bet either the guys don't cover or anything. I'm taking Texas money line, which is plus 120. That shows right there, plus 120 means people have some very good faith, even though they have them as the underdog, that they have faith in Texas to win. I'm taking Texas to win because I don't trust A&M to get the job done. Arch will find a way to get it done. They'll run the football. Sark has some trick plays come in there. They'll find a way to get up and beat A&M and try to keep themselves in that playoff conversation. Whether they meet a playoff team or not, those 3 losses, I don't believe so, but they are going to win the ball game. And A&M will once again give their fans some serious PTSD about not getting the job done and losing and being the second team in the state of Texas.
Fresh. I don't even know what to say. There's part of me that kind of wonders whether or not Sarkisian's out of Texas at the end of this year. There's all those reports, like underlying things that he's floating his resume out to the NFL. A lot of things, like Mike Elko is the right coach for Texas A&M. And if this team was being led by Jimbo Fisher, I know battered Aggie syndrome is a real thing. And that a lot of that is developed by Jimbo Fisher and all of the stuff in the previous coaching staffs. I don't know. I mean, Texas, did you just not take Arkansas seriously? Like, I need to know why Arkansas was able to put up 37 on you. Because Arkansas, you make all the excuses you want there, Fresh. But Texas has like I think, number 3 ranked run defense in the SEC. And Arkansas was able to run for double their amount per game. Like, that means you weren't focused. That means you weren't winning your upfront battles at the line of scrimmage. I get it. You threw the ball on them, and you should have put up 52 points on an Arkansas team. I just don't get why it is. And we're at that point of the year that if you think back to where we were at our preseason, Fresh, and especially in our preseason top 10, Texas, Penn State, LSU, and Clemson. All 5 of those teams were in, I want to say, our top 7 or top 8 or top 4 out of that.
I will say this right now. As an Ohio State fan yourself, you're currently wearing the shirt. Do you want Texas to win to make your 14-7 win in week 1 look valued? Or do you want them to be a 4-loss football team?
Here's what I've learned about
because right now, that is the best win for Ohio State.
Oh, I'm aware that it is the best win for Ohio State. But here's the thing. What I've learned from the committee, week 1 no longer matters because they've completely ignored Alabama getting drubbed by Florida State, who's also a joke. So again, I've just
Miami beating Notre Dame, but behind Notre Dame.
Yeah, and so we've come to learn.
Yeah.
We've come to learn that week 1 no longer matters, no matter what it comes down to. Yeah, sure. I would love to anything that promotes my team. Great. If I'm calling it like it is, I'm just sitting there going, this Texas team is just. I think
not a playoff team.
There's a lot to be unpacked with this season. And I think that we'll have content at the end of the year and go, what actually went wrong for some of these teams? Like, were we just so blinded at like, ooh, look at this sparkly, shiny object, but it's really a lemon? Getting back to this football game, though, Fresh, I think A&M's going to win. Here's the reason why. 1, they're not led by Jimbo Fisher. They're led by Mike Elko. Mike Elko. You talk about A&M.
Led by Mark, they're in trouble.
Exactly.
Then they lose.
And again, Marcel Reed should be getting more love than he's getting right now. I've been just super impressed with this kid. With A&M's ability to run the football, and it's not just one guy leading the charge there. They have that stable of running backs who've all played well. I know Owens is the lead back over there, but they've done just such a good job. I think A&M is going to come into this game with a chip on their shoulder and wanting to win it more than anything else. If Texas wins, great, wonderful. And I feel bad that A&M's going to drop like a lead balloon, because if you look at their strength of schedule, it's bad. It's real bad. It's no matter what metric you look at it, it's bad. I don't know. I'm picking A&M just because I'd like to see Marcel Reed get his day in the sun. I do like Mike Elko better than I like Sark.
This was actually, can Arch another chance to win a big game and show up and be he did it versus Vanderbilt. Congratulations. I mean, look, Vandy, for all that pub, they're an above average football team. He didn't show up at Ohio State. He didn't show up versus Georgia. This is his last chance. I don't care what the hype is. He enjoyed the hype. He knew exactly what he was getting himself into, being the arguably number one recruit in the country, going to the Manning Passing Academy. All of this stuff came with it. He could pick wherever he wanted to go. Well, it's about time you start showing it, because if not, you're just another quarterback. You're just another guy. And back to the comment we made beforehand, if he was so fantastic, why was he on the bench and Quinn Ewers was starting last year? I mean, it's great. The receiver triple pass back to the quarterback to catch a touchdown versus Arkansas. Oh, it's fantastic. But when he had to make big boy throws down the stretch in other games, he didn't show up. Will he show up versus A&M at home? It's not on the road. It's not a hostile road crowd. You're at home. Make a big boy throw. Win a big game late. If you can't, hey, is he guaranteed a starting spot? Does he hit the transfer portal? Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah. All right, Fresh. Let's go to one more rivalry game in this weekend. This one's going to be a good one. So on Friday, when you're tired, you're having leftovers, you need something on the TV to watch. Arizona going to Arizona State. Low key, really, really good rivalry game here. Both these teams are 8-3. Arizona quietly 5-3 on the season, because you think back 5-3 in the Big 12 there, and Arizona State 6-2 in the Big 12. You think back, was it not even 4 or 5 years ago, Arizona was considered one of the worst teams in college football, and now they have no Fafita, and they turned around and been a quality opponent for a lot of people. I like this game because I think that there's so many good stories behind it. What's Sam Levitt going to do? Is this his last hurrah at Arizona State? Raleek Brown has been a great running back. Jordan Tyson, although he's underachieved a little bit this year, he's off to the NFL, probably one of the better wide receivers in this year's draft class. And then you take a look at what Arizona has done this season. It's a good program there. This is going to be a very competitive football game. Right now, Arizona is a 1.5-point road favorite in Tempe.
Well, I think, the Jeff Sims at quarterback with the same Levitt thing about he wanted to transfer, potentially leave. That adds the wrinkle. Like Jeff Sims, we know who he is. We saw him at Nebraska. We saw him at Georgia Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Now, has he shown more promise and try to rebound his career under Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State lately? Yeah. But in the end, it's still Jeff Sims, folks. There's also last year in Tucson, Arizona State threw down the spork on 50-yard line. Obviously, there's a lot of rivalry of planting flags and stuff. Wildcat players didn't take too kindly to that. Now, obviously, Arizona State last year's team was a beast of a good group, and they dominated. I have a feeling the Wildcats are going to be ready for this one. There's a thing about a rivalry, and this is what the one thing about college football that makes it better, it makes it special, is that it's that one game a year. It's not the NFL where, what's the Packers and Bears, but they play twice. This is you wait 365 for that one game. That one game comes up, and you have a chance to live and die and remember, have the bragging rights for that for you. Outside of Carolina and Duke, nope. Basketball seems like, all right, whatever. And even then, they play twice. This is a one-stop shop. And I have a feeling, you think about that all year long. There's so many stories about, how many days it's been since I beat my rival, blah, blah, blah. Or you watch the game in the weight room all summer long. It's all you see, all you see, all you see. This is what it means. And if Coach, Brenneman, I think his name is, who came over from San Jose State, coming into this is year 2. Last year he took his lumps, got the squad back on there. Arizona State's a good football team, but there's some blood in the water. And I think the Wildcats, who have kind of laid in the weeds all year, we've kind of been like but all right, whatever. What's the biggest win? they're ready for this one.
Mm-hmm.
I have and Fafita probably going to be his last game. I mean, the guy's been there for 3 or 4 years now. He might come back. Who knows? I don't even know the transfer rules and guys' eligibility. It's so crazy after 2020. I don't even know what it is anymore, but got to own the aspect. This is probably his last game, his last chance. I have a feeling they come out there and get the job done. Going on the road, going into Tempe and Sun Devil Stadium and getting that dub. You take care of, you basically, I'm gonna say you end Sam Levitt's career. You extend Jeff Sims out in his 40th year of eligibility. And the rumors of Kenny Dillingham potentially being a candidate for other job openings, potentially end his Arizona State career. This is a chance for Arizona to do something really cool. And a rivalry craziness happened. I'm taking the Wildcats. So Fafita's going to have a day, and they're going to get payback for last year.
Yeah. I always kind of wonder about Fafita because he's a bit undersized at 5'10", and he had every opportunity to, because remember, he was a freshman under Jeb Fish. And we thought that too. We thought, well, obviously Fish is going up to Washington, so Fafita goes with him. And he didn't. He stuck around to Arizona. I wouldn't be shocked to see him stick around. He's only a junior. I wouldn't be shocked to see him stick around one more year, another year in the sun, figuratively and literally, for Arizona, because he's not an NFL caliber player. He's a very good player, but he's not going to make a NFL team probably. So again, pick up your NIL deal. You may hit the portal, see who's interested in you, or you come back for another year at Arizona and see what you can do then. I'm super intrigued by this because Arizona State's been such an interesting team this year. From everything with Sam Levitt to now him being out for the year, with them making the college football playoff last year and probably should have beat Texas in that game with the exception of a couple of plays that go there, Scadaboo and everything with him. I just really want to just this is one of those games that I just want to sit back and watch. I just want to sit back and watch the game and enjoy it. I don't want to have a rooting interest for somebody. I don't want to say, oh, I want to see this or I want to see that or I want to see one of these teams prevent, because neither one of these teams are going to the playoff. Neither one of these teams are going to be someone that we talk about going into this offseason, possibly a top 25 team going into next year. Although I do have another theory about that one. But I think both of these teams can hang their hat and say, man, we had a really good year. How do you cap off a really good year? Beating your rivals. And again, I think it means more for Arizona than Arizona State. I'm with you, Fresh. I'm taking Arizona. I'm taking the Wildcats with the upset in Tempe over the Sun Devils here as well. Wildcats I don't know what Wildcats would do to the pitchfork on the center of the stadium at Arizona State, but they'll do something, I'm sure.
No, they'll find ways to do something. But that's the one thing where we talk about what does make college football great. This is what makes college football great: is the rivalries, the hated, the hatred. But just we're not talking violent hatred. We're just talking that is my rival. I hate them, and I don't want to see them win. I want to beat them every time I'm out there in any sport. But football is the king. You never take them for granted. When you find a way to get a win, it's fantastic. And if you haven't beat them in a long time, it's a chance to you want to relish in it. Now, Arizona ruled it for a couple of years under Jed Fish before he left, and Dillingham came back. You want to get that bragging right back. You have a chance. Don't want to give them any momentum. Finish it and get the win. Finish your season strong and have the bragging rights for another 365. That's really special.
Fresh, you want to know what's crazy? I feel like Arizona State kind of almost epitomizes our podcast, because the first year that we're running this podcast, we talked about Arizona State, and they had this quarterback by the name of Jaden Daniels, who was about ready to enter into the transfer portal and go somewhere else. And to bring this whole thing full circle, kind of towards the end of our 5th year doing this podcast and talking about Arizona State, I look back and it kind of brings back all the memories and all the things that we've talked about from the world of college football. And you're right. This is why college football is great. This is the reason why we talked about doing this podcast from the jump, because games like these are the ones that should still get some love on ESPN, on Sports Center, on these things. Again, don't need a huge 25-minute segment on the thing. You don't need talking heads for 30 minutes over it. But again, show some love to this game. You have two teams that have had phenomenal years. Show some love to them. Show that these two are quality programs and have a great fan bases.
Well, the other thing is we're all this thing. Well, the playoff is the only thing that matters. Now, if you want
It's
to,
not.
I have a solution to that. If you want to check out spinnablesports.com, I do
That's
have
actually a pretty good idea.
an option about different tiers that we could implement more playoff elements, kind of like the college basketball, your NIT, and you have the CBI as well as the playoff, where you have chances for groups to win championships. Because right now, if we didn't have the rivalry games, we didn't have the passion and the hatred between these schools and these fan bases, the alumni. If you don't make the playoffs, it's kind of like, well, yeah, like I guess it feels really deflating. Unless your team went from no wins or one win, you finally got your 6 wins. Does bowl eligibility really mean that much anymore? It's like, well, you know, or granted, I haven't been to a bowl game. I finally got bowl eligible, and then you jump. Well, if I'm now bowl eligible, my next step is making the playoff. There's a big gap between bowl eligibility and playoff, but that's where we are right now. There's not well, we won 6 this year, and year 2 we won 8. Year 3 we're competing for a conference championship. You got to find the different segments and how we reward that, where it's not just all or nothing. And this game right here, Arizona State, it's a passion and a fire that is a lot more than just all or nothing.
Yeah. All right, Fresh, you got any quick hitters before we do Saturday games in our
First
second
one to look
episode?
We kind of forgot about the Mountain West Conference, this entire year with Georgia State not really have a dominant team. But San Diego State's quietly been owning the league. They're playing at New Mexico. There's a 4-way tie right now for first place for who can make it in. If San Diego State gets it done, they are going to be in the conference championship game, probably have the home. If they lose, there's a 4-way tie for the Mountain West title game spots, and it could be a lot of chaos there. So can San Diego State keep the special season running and find a way to lock up that's the championship game spot and the home game? Or does New Mexico come in there, who's having a pretty good season, pretty solid season themselves, and find a way to punch a ticket to the conference championship? A lot of chaos right now in the Mountain West. Not one amazing team. San Diego State's the best, but there's still a lot of hope for a bunch of teams to play for a conference championship out there in the Mountain West.
Fresh, I'm going to go over to Lincoln, Nebraska real quick here. Iowa versus Nebraska. Another low-key rivalry game between these two storied programs. They're going to fight over ears of corn and who's has the better tractor here as well. And again, I think both of these tractors are, old, run down right now, but they run and they get the job done. TJ Lateef for Nebraska, stepping in for the injured Dylan Raiola, has looked pretty good. I'm impressed with the freshman there. I want to see what he does against a defense like Iowa here. I am going to actually take the Cornhuskers to make it to 8 wins this season behind TJ Lateef.
Did you not watch that game with Penn State?
Yeah, I did. I'm just going to try to believe here, Fresh. I'm going to try to have a short-term memory because I picked Nebraska at the beginning of the season to have 7.5 wins. I need one more in the year.
You want the over. Okay.
I want the over. Yeah. So I'm going to ignore anything bad.
Never happened.
Yeah, never happened.
My other quick pick, Utah and Kansas. I don't know how Utah came back and beat Kansas State. Kansas State ran for what felt like 500 yards. But Utah is technically still alive in the playoff hunt. Can Kansas pull off an upset and end Utah's season? Can Jalen Daniels end his career with a big upset win over Utah? Did Utah use all their magic last week at home? But something to keep an eye on Friday afternoon.
Fresh, I got one more quick pick here. I'm going for some action. It's the Ohio Bobcats going up to Buffalo to play the Buffalo Bulls. It's so hard for me not to say the Buffalo Bills, so I have to take my time on it there. Ohio is in the opportunity to be a team playing for the MAC title. I love it. I love some action. It's on Friday. It's just going to be sheer craziness, I hope. But it's at 12 o'clock. I wish this was a night game so we could see some raccoons out there and people run the scoreboard. But, there's going to be no fans in the stands because everyone's going to be home. So it's just going to be family and maybe some locals. So they'll give free tickets away. I'm intrigued because I'm hoping there's snow. I'm hoping this is the crazy action game that we deserve to see on TV.
I mean, right now, the Buffalo Bulls might actually have a better defense than the Buffalo Bills. Who knows? People might actually be watching that ball game.
All right, Fresh. Well, hey, that's part 1 of our rivalry week. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, get notified when we drop part 2, because part 2 is the one that everyone's going to want to be locked in for. That's the Saturday games. We're locked and loaded all weekend long here. Make sure you tune in because we'll have a recap episode talking about all of the results from Rivalry Week on Sunday. Fresh, it's a special time. It's the greatest college football weekend of the year. These games matter more than anything else in the grand scheme of things, unless you go on a run and win a national title. It's the only way you get over
Folks,
these wins.
This is the best weekend of football. I mean, yes, we got NFL. You got a triple header on Friday, on Thursday. And you got tons of games on Friday. And we'll obviously talk about a ton of games on Saturday. Just sit on your couch, grab some beverages, grab some food. Calories don't count Thursday through Sunday, and just enjoy it, because the other part that I love about college football, I think everybody else enjoys, is that multiple games going on at the same time, where you could have 6, 7, 8 different channels with games on. That's what also makes college football so much more enjoyable. So you can actually watch. You don't have the Sunday ticket where I have the quad box. I just have games everywhere from noon on the way to all the way to the middle of the night. This is the last one to really take advantage of that. Enjoy it, because after this, it's usually 1 or 2 games in a time slot, very specialized because they are playoff games or championships. So enjoy the maximum of football while we still have it, because before we know it, there'll be a lot of snow. Well, not here in Florida. And then we'll be into the off season.
Yeah. It's going to be a wild year. And Fresh, we look forward to this all year long here. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Special thanks to our producer, Drew. Without him, none of this is possible. Make sure you like, subscribe wherever you get your podcast from. Engage with us on social media. Fresh, that's all I got. We got to get ready for part 2 of this episode. That's going to be where we got a lot of fun.
Yep, part 2 is coming. But until then, everybody, hit us up. Spinnable Sports YouTube channel. Subscribe, spread the word, whether it's our regular previews or shorts. Hit us up on spinnablesports.com. Hit us up on Twitter /X at IR Confidence Pod. And from there, we'll see you on our next episode. Talk to you later. Bye, y'all.